NASA's Perseverance rover is now just weeks away from arriving in Mars. The robot and the red planet are still separated by some 4 million miles, but the gap is closing at a rapid rate every day. What else is going on in the skies? Let's check in with Stephen Cates, Dr. Sky. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing great, George. We begin, of course, with more interesting information from space. Did you know that there's some 2,037 potentially hazardous asteroids that are larger, George, than 300 feet in diameter?
Gosh, I missed one.
Yes, they can actually come closer than about 4.5 million miles. But none of the PHAs, George, these potentially hazardous asteroids, are now on a direct collision course with the Earth. That's obviously the good news. But, George, here's something that's amazing. One object which passes the Earth today is a strange one indeed. It's an object, it's a very small object, 30 feet in diameter, and the object officially is known as 2020 SO. This was thought to be a small asteroid like many other PHAs, but upon further analysis, astronomers now believe that 2020 SO is actually the booster rocket known as the Atlas LV-3C Centaur D rocket, lots to talk about, launched back on September the 20th of 1966. On board was the Surveyor 2 spacecraft. The Surveyor 2 failed to land on the moon. It crashed into the area near the crater Copernicus at speeds of about 6,000 miles an hour. But, George, the booster rocket is passing the Earth today, as I mentioned, not an asteroid, but as a relic of the space program of the 1960s. The only other Sun-Earth orbiting booster rocket from way out there was the Apollo 12 upper stage of the Saturn V. Just goes to show you how much our technology has advanced to even find these things in space. But move on to astronomy. Did you know that there can be as many as 7 eclipses of the sun and moon in any given year, George? And the last time that happened was back in 1982. But in 2021, there'll be 2 solar eclipses, 2 lunar eclipses. The first solar eclipse occurs on June 10th. It'll be partial for much of the eastern part of North America. It's an annular eclipse visible from parts of Canada, Greenland, and Siberia. And the second solar eclipse occurs on December the 4th. It's total in Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. Very few people will obviously get to see it. But for lunar eclipses, get set for another total lunar eclipse, George, on May the 26th, only 114 days from now.
Oh, super.
As seen in the early morning in the western portion of the U.S. and Hawaii. And then to end off this year, a partial lunar eclipse on November the 19th, visible from most of North America, from about 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 a.m. Pacific, and this one will be 97% partial, meaning it's almost like a full total eclipse of the moon. The live sky, George, we wrap it up. Welcome to February, of course. Get set for an amazing conjunction of Jupiter and Venus before dawn on the 11th. To see it, look into the southeast sky 20 minutes before dawn, and on the 11th, Venus and Jupiter, George, will be only a half a degree apart. That's 1 full moon diameter. You can start looking now in the early morning sky, very close to the horizon, a spectacular sight. Dr. Sky naturally reminds you always to keep your eyes to the skies. I'm your navigator on the highway to the heavens. Email me at drskyshow@gmail.com and more information on all the great things that we talk about here at theskylive.com. Thank you, George. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Sky. We'll talk to you next Monday. In a